In this video, I'd like to demonstrate a Microsoft SQL workload out of the LucidLink mount point. I have a C5 2x large instance running out of AWS. I have SQL installed with no databases attached. So I'm going to join my file space where I have a SQL database. Now, when I join this file space, I'm going to mount it to L drive, where my workload is going to be located. So I can see I now have L drive and I have a 1.2 gigabyte database, which actually comprises of 10 million records. So I'll close that and I'll attach my database. When I attach my database off L drive, you'll see a small blip in Mbps as we mount the database, and then we're going to run a query against it. So I have a table which I mentioned has 10 million records. I'll select the first 1,000 records and we'll see another small blip as we open up the first 1,000 records. I'm going to change this to 100,000 records and execute the query again, and we'll see another blip as we bring in more. I'll change it to 1,000,000 records and execute the query, and we'll see another blip as 1,000,000 records come in, and we see that that finishes in 5 seconds. So now we know there's 10 million records in that database. I'm going to apply 10 millions to my query and say execute. Now the first 5 seconds, no data is going to be transferred because we have that in our cache. Then we're going to see the increase in Mbps as we start bringing in fresh data. So as you can see, fresh data is scrolling in and we've got an Mbps on our receive for our internet. So if we look at where we're at now, we have about the halfway point at 30 seconds. And if we scroll down further to see where we're at, we're just over the halfway point. We can see our data coming in on Mbps. If I scroll down again to get a read, we're nearing the end and it's been 1 minute and 1 second for just under 10 million records. So in order to do a comparison, I have a database on C drive, which is on local. It is the same database with the same data set and the same size, as you can see from my L drive. So I'm going to now attach this database and run the same process against it. Now we'll have a new database, and we're essentially doing a comparison here to substitute EBS disk with S3 back-ended LucidLink disk from a cost perspective. So we'll do the same query. We've got 1,000 records open. We'll do 100,000 like we did before. So now we'll do 1 million records, execute, and previously it was 5 seconds. As we can see, it finishes in 9 seconds. We've had no traffic come in because this is coming off a local EBS volume. So we'll change this to 10 million records and we'll say execute. Now we'll see that we're bringing in those records. It's moving fairly quickly. If I widen that column, that'll give us an idea of where we're up to. We're planning on comparing against 1 minute and 1 second for our S3 backed mount point. So we're just under halfway at the 30-second mark. We're just over halfway at the 30-second mark. Now again, the exercise here is to see whether you could substitute expensive EBS volumes for general workloads for S3 backed LucidLink in the same region with no egress costs and a far cheaper rate, and no worry about burst credits. So we're at 55 seconds, we've just finished at 55 seconds versus 1 minute and 1 second. However, the cost against running off S3 versus EBS is a far greater benefit for certain workloads that could take advantage from an I/O characteristics perspective. Thank you.